السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة دلالة، وكل دلالة في النار. Really, all the praise, definitely all of our dedication and all of our magnification should be for Allah and Allah alone. And I publicly, I outwardly, and I inwardly declare and attest, like I did back in 1991, September the 2nd, after Salatul Dhuhr, I said those words that brought me from Kufr to Islam. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. On and Yom, dear brothers and sisters, is the topic that is very intense, very beautiful, very unappreciated in the life of the Muslim. The topic that we want to talk about, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, is what the great scholars of hadith, they call at-tajreed al-matabi'ah. At-tajreed al-matabi'ah. At-tajreed al-matabi'. I'll say it one more time because the Muslims, they don't understand this. At-tajreed al-matabi'. Isolated, restricted adherence to the Nabiya sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And to him alone. Because unfortunately, me as a new Muslim coming from Christianity, where my family, they deify Isa ibn Maryam to such a level, that if they stub their toe, they say, Jesus Christ. That's how much they love him. Showing you, that sometimes we can go too far in our love and our admiration for any individual. But when it comes to the Nabiya sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he is not like anybody else. And so the question comes, 1991, I became a Muslim. After meeting thousands of Muslims wanting to know my personal story on how I became a Muslim, after that, the very next question was,
brother, what madhab do you follow, brother?
Madhab. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu an Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I said, what's that? They said, it's a school of thought. I said, well, let me ask some of my sheikhs. And most of my sheikhs, when I first became Muslim, were also new Muslims that were 10, 15, 20 years ahead of me in their embracing Islam, going to study. So the question came up, ikhwan. Ibadatul shakhsiyya. This is the question we want to talk about. Personality worship, ikhwan. In light of the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. My dear brothers, my dear sisters in Islam, Allah Ta'ala, He gave us so many ayat. And we're just going to use ayat today only. Inshallah Ta'ala, we'll do another khutbah with this, with the hadith. وقال Allah Ta'ala, after I say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, Allah Ta'ala goes on to say, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقدموا بين يدي الله ورسوله واتقوا الله إن الله سميع عليم. Allah Ta'ala goes on to say, O you have Iman, do not put yourself forward in front of Allah or His Messenger. Do not put yourself, do not precede yourself, do not speak over Allah and His Messenger. That should be enough for any Muslim to understand that Allah and His Messenger's words are enough for us. وقال الله تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وَلَا تُبْتِلُوا أَعْمَالَكُمْ. O you have Iman, obey Allah and obey His Messenger, and do not let your deeds become null and void. This is scary stuff, ikhwan. That your deeds become null and void by disobeying Allah and His Messenger. So now when the question comes, ikhwan, we're talking about at-tajreed al-matabi'ah. Tajreed al-matabi'ah. Restricting and isolating obedience only to the Prophet ﷺ over every personality. Me, the sheikh that was here last week, the sheikh that will come next week, the big imam that came into the city, the big qari, whoever it is, we love all of our Muslim brothers. But they're not above Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this is why the ulama, if you read their books, there's a principle, aqaida thabita, strong foundational form, al-haq, fawq, al-jami', al-haq, fawq, al-jami', that the truth is above everyone and everything, ikhwan. And the scholars go on to say that we will sacrifice anyone. We will not sacrifice, the truth is above everyone, we will not sacrifice for anyone, but we will sacrifice everyone for the truth. The truth means more to us. Allah said, His Messenger said. Allah said, His Messenger said. Allah said, His Messenger said. As a new Muslim, this was drilled into me by my brothers. Qala Allah, Qala Rasulullah. Qala Allah, Qala Rasulullah. Qala Allah, Qala Rasulullah, ya ikhwan. This is what moved the Sahaba Ridwan alayhim ajma'in to be people that can move mountains and conquer huge empires. Was that when Allah and His Messenger was recited, the Muslims, they sat there like this, Sami'na wa ta'ana, with the ear open like this. Whereas now, when you quote an ayah or you quote a hadith, yeah, brother, but I know that's the sunnah, brother, but, I think, brother, my sheikh said, brother, well, brother, there's a difference of an opinion. Imagine, ya ikhwan, being in the time of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and you said something like that, and he looked at you like this, ya ikhwan, that you had an opinion other than the opinion of Allah or His Messenger. So, ya ikhwan, this is so dangerous, my dear brothers and sisters, that the scholars went on to say that we have to, including myself, be careful of harmful personalities. Why is that? Because it can harm you in what is known as your Tawheed al-Ibadah or your Tawheed al-Uluhiyah. I myself, as a new Muslim, went to pray janazah at a brother's janazah, and then we went to the Maqbirah, ya ikhwan, to put him in the ground. And on the way back, I seen an old uncle, maybe he never learned. I seen him take his head and put his head down to his father's grave and make sujood to his father, ya ikhwan, as a new Muslim. This is mukhrij min al-millah, ya ikhwan. But there is some conditions to that. So when we look at the situation, the verses, ya ikhwan, that are talking about at-tawheed al-uluhiyah, that people are taking rabbis and lords besides Allah, which we'll come to. And tawheed al-ibadah, that people actually worship and they even call upon the names of people, ya ikhwan. This is amazing to me, as I went to many Muslim countries and I seen people making sujood to many graves and bringing a picnic basket to the grave of Sheikh so-and-so and asking Sheikh so-and-so, Sheikh so-and-so, please help my wife to have a baby. Please heal my mother. Did they not hear the verse, ya ikhwan? Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. These are the very basics, ya ikhwan, that young kids like this, that they know, but not to practice it is something else. So my dear brothers and sisters, Tawheed al-Ittiba, it can fall, ya ikhwan, into taqleed. That you follow somebody else can be into blind following. And inshallah, we're going to bring too many evidences for that, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Or what is known as a taqdees al-rijal. Fulan wa alan, he's such a pious person, he's more holier than everybody in the building. No, ya ikhwan, that's Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and nobody else. Also, ya ikhwan, that Fulan wa alan, he is ma'soom, he is infallible, he can't make any mistakes. That is only Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Everybody makes mistakes, ya ikhwan. So, ya ta'ala, we're going to bring some serious dalil, ya ikhwan, for us to look and see how serious this issue of التجريد المتابعة. وقال الله تعالى: فلا وربك لا يؤمنون حتى يحاكموك فيما شجر بينهم ثم لا يجدوا في أنفسهم حرجا مما قضيت ويسلمون تسليما. This is one out of the many ayats. But I swear by your Lord, they will never be true believers until they accept you, Muhammad sallallahu, as the judge in their disputes and find no other resistance within themselves against, ya ikhwan, those things that you put against the Messenger sallallahu. And you submit 100%. Well, brother, the Prophet sallallahu said this. Yeah, brother, but you know what? That's not from my madhab, brother. I'm quoting you authentic hadith and you're telling me that the Imam is not from his madhab? Did you not know that the Imams, they all said, فَإِذَا صَحُ الْحَدِيث فَهُوَ مَذْهَبِي. If you find an authentic hadith, that is my madhab. وَقَالَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى. Allah Ta'ala goes on to say, sisters, pay attention. وَمَا كَانَ لِمُؤْمِنٍ وَلَا مُؤْمِنَةٍ إِذَا قَضَى اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ أَمْرًا أَنْ يَكُونَ لَهُمْ خِيرَةٌ مِنْ أَمْرِهِمْ وَمَا يَعْصِ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ فَقَدْ ضَلَّ ضَلَالٍ مُبِينًا. It is not befitting for a male or a female believer, when Allah and His Messenger have decreed a matter, to have any other choice in that matter, and whoever disobeys them is far astray. Yeah, but brother, I don't think this is right, brother. It's my opinion that this is wrong. I think this ayah means this. A very close friend of mine, an Arab brother, mashallah, very knowledgeable, but unknown to the people. He was sitting some years ago in the khutbah, inshallah, brothers move up, and there was another sheikh giving the lecture. And at the end of it, the brother asked in Arabic, he said, Sheikh, min ayna laka hada, Sheikh? Where did you get this from? And the sheikh said, this is what I think. This is what I think. The sheikh said, well, I just read what Imam Tabari said, what Imam Qurtubi said, what Imam Baghawi said, what Ibn Kathir said, great mufassirin ulama, giants in tafsir, what they said, and they're not saying what you said. The scholars are saying what you're not saying. So my dear brothers, how many ayat do we need to understand this principle as a ummah? that Allah and His Messenger are above everything and everyone. وقال الله تعالى قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني يحببكم الله ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم والله غفور رحيم. Say, O Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that if you sincerely love Allah, the Prophet was telling his companions and everybody else, follow me, and Allah will love you. Follow Muhammad sallallahu and Allah will love you, and Allah will forgive you. Who here does not want the love of Allah and the forgiveness of Allah, ya akhwan? وقال الله تعالى وما أتاكم الرسول فخذوه وما نهاكم عنه فانتهوا. Take what the Messenger He gives you and restrain from what He doesn't give you. So ya akhwan, anybody can have any opinion. Anybody can have an opinion. But as Ibn Khattabi said, الدعوة السنة تمضي ولا تعرضون لها بالرأي. He said, let the sunnah, let it go for it. Just let it go for it. Let the sunnah, let it flow, and don't oppose it with your own opinion. The Muslims nowadays have become the people with the biggest opinion. Well, I think. Ana indi. Ana ra'i. I think. Yeah, the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, when they were asked questions about different stuff, and imagine they were fuqaha and ulama and mufassirin. They humbly said, Allah wa Rasuluhu a'lam. Allah and His Messenger know best. Now you ask somebody, well, no dalil, no ayah, no hadith. Well, brother, I don't know, brother. I don't think that's right. I don't know, brother. I mean, it's now 2024. I think, Islam needs to be modified a little bit changed, and that's fine. If you don't want Islam, that's okay. Born Muslims, if you don't want to practice Islam, that's okay. People like me, alhamdulillah, Allah will bring me from the streets of Toronto, from the gutter streets. And I can't even say what I did back in Jahiliyyah because our beautiful sisters are here. Okay? Coming into Islam, when Allah will bring some of the worst people and bring them to Islam to take the place of the Muslims. This is Allah's religion. We are servants of Allah. Qala Allah Ta'ala, Ya Ikhwan, and this is where it gets real serious. For many of those people who have too much admiration. Inshallah, we'll break it down later. وقال الله تعالى اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله. Allah Ta'ala goes on to say, they, meaning the people of before, Ahlul Kitab, the Christians and the Jews, they have taken their rabbis and monks as lords besides Allah. Can we not fall into that, brothers and sisters? Is that only exclusively for them? وقال الله تعالى, Allah again is giving us another ayah, another dalil. ومن الناس ما يتخذ من دون الله أندادا يحبونهم كحب الله. Allah Ta'ala is going to say, some people, they equate others to Allah, and they love them the way they should love Allah. Imagine this, ya Ikhwan. The Muslims, ya Ikhwan, if you were to ask, and I've tested thousands of Muslims, what is the istilahi meaning, the technical meaning of Allahu Akbar? Many Muslims, they don't know. They say, oh, God is great, God is big. It actually means Allahu Akbar min kullu shay, that Allah is greater and bigger than everything you can imagine. An entity, a model, a country, a king, a queen, anything you can imagine, Allah is bigger than that. Allah Ta'ala, He tells the believers, اتبعوا ما أنزل إليكم من ربكم ولا تتبعوا من دونه أولياء قليلا ما تذكرون. Ya Ikhwan, how many ayat do we need, dear brothers? The Quran is filled with ayat showing us, follow what has been sent down from your Lord, and do not take others and as guardians. Others as guardians besides Him, Allah. How seldom and how not mindful are they, have we become? So now the question comes, Ya Ikhwan, as a new Muslim, how should I pray? How should I fast? What is ibadah? What should I eat? What is halal? What is haram? What is sunnah? What is bid'ah? What is fiqh? What is darura, necessity? What are the customs in the cultures? Muslims from different cultures, different Muslim lands have come to me and they've tried to put their culture, which could be halal or haram, and force it on the new Muslims. Say, brother, you have to wear this. Your salat will not be acceptable as one brother came when I was leaving the salat one time. In the middle of the salat, imagine you're praying to Allah Azza wa Jal, trying to worship Allah with khushu', which is something our uncles, they love it very much. And while you're praying, a brother comes, he himself doesn't have a topi or a kufi, and he comes and he slams it on your head while you're making salat. You're like, gosh, I'm getting hit in salat. I came to worship Allah, not to fight the Muslims. So after, assalamu alaikum, why brother, you have to wear a hat on your head. I said, do you have any dalil? Yes, it's recommended, no doubt about it. But now you hitting me in my head, should I hit you back in your mouth for it? No, I can't do that. Imagine this, ya ikhwan. People are hitting people while they're making ibadah. That's how extreme we went, because some people, they have these false notions, ya ikhwan. What is religion and what isn't religion? So, ya ikhwan, there's an issue called al-maslaha al-mursala. This microphone didn't exist in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Some Muslims, they label this microphone and those speakers, brother, that's a bid'ah. No, this has nothing to do with ibadah. This is maslaha mursala. This is a community benefit. This will help us to practice our religion. But it's not wajib, it's not halal, it's not haram. It's good. So ya ikhwan, many of us, we're making fatawa and we don't have the tools. May Allah help us with that. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله وسلام عليه وسلم. التجريد المتابع. التجريد المتابع. Restricting ourselves to following the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. My dear brothers, my dear sisters, when you study the meaning of La ilaha illallah, the scholars go into great detail explaining it. One of the sheikhs from Yemen, he wrote probably one of the best books I've ever read, and I've read many, breaking it down that I started to think that I'm not even a Muslim, because I felt that I'm not even maybe living up to the real meaning of La ilaha illallah. Then he went into explaining the meaning of Muhammad Rasulullah. So he goes on to say that when you say La ilaha illallah, the basic meaning is Ifradullah bi ibadatillahi wahda, to single out Allah in worship. So they use the word ifrad. When it comes to the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the word is ittiba', to follow, to adhere to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So my dear brothers, when you look at the situation, I wanted to make it easy for the brothers and sisters to understand. They have a concept called at-taqrib al-ma'na. At-taqrib al-ma'na. At-taqrib al-ma'na, which means to bring something far, bring it close, and make it easy to understand. So as for the madahib, ya ikhwan, the way one of my sheikhs explained it, many people, they went to the U of T, many people, they went to the University of Missouri, some went to the University of Columbia, some went to the University of New York City, some to the University of Chicago, some to the University of Florida. Some, yeah, they went to the University of I don't know nothing. Some went to the University of the Streets. That's where I graduated from, okay? So each professor at each university, they write a curriculum for a particular subject. For instance, accounting. For instance, law. For instance, medicine. So there is a book written by each professor from each different university. And that's how they make their money. You have to buy their book. And then you go through the school and then they give you the information, Yahweh. So a real student of knowledge, Yahweh, he wants the truth. Schools of thought. Schools of thought. That means a sheikh that we love, he did his best to write down some information for us to practice the bare minimum, the basics for the layman like me and you to practice. Bab al-fiqh, salat, hajj, umrah, sadaqah, and on and on and on. Sometimes, ya ikhwan, they didn't put all the hadith in there. Sometimes they forgot hadith. Sometimes they thought hadith was weak. Sometimes hadith was hasan. Sometimes it was sahih. So they put it together and then they put it out to the world. Ya ikhwan, our religion is very expansive. It is very amiq, very deep and very expansive. I said to a good friend of mine the other day, I researched a particular topic that I came for khutbah on a few weeks ago more than 20 times in the last 33 years. I came across a hadith I'd never seen before. I went back and I checked it out, and the hadith is authentic, and I'm like, look at that. I've read 10, 15 books. I went online, and now I'm still finding information that I didn't know, showing you that our knowledge is limited, and Allah Azza wa Jalla, He's not limited. Ya Akhwan. Recently, a brother, like I said before, he was talking about the Quran, and he said some stuff that wasn't right. So there's an app now for those that can read Arabic, that you can go and you can read 30 plus tafsir in the Arabic language, and all you gotta keep doing is just pressing a button that gets you to the next mufassir, and each mufassir, some they only put a paragraph, some 4 pages, some 8 pages, some 10 pages. Each scholar is bringing information that a different scholar didn't bring yet. And that's where the kinds of quluz, where the gems of scholarship comes. So recently, these are just some, and maybe you've never heard of them. Jami al-Bayan by Imam al-Tabari, which is the grandfather of tafsir. A tafsir al-Quran al-Azim by Ibn Kathir. This is maybe most people that have this in their house. A Mu'alim al-Tanzil by Imam al-Baghawi. It's one of my favorites. A tafsir al-Quran al-Azim, Musnad Imam Ibn Abi Hatim. It's very hard to get. A tafsir al-Quran al-Aziz by Ibn Abi Zamani. And there's so many others, ya akhwan. When you click on what the Sheikh says, you realize you don't know very much about the religion. That's just Quranic ayats. That's not verses with the Arabic, breaking down the Arabic grammar, why it was put this way. That's not hadith that are authentic, not authentic, and all the huge sciences. Ya akhwan, our religion is very deep, but now everybody wants to be the mufti of the city. I remember recently I met a mufti, 21 years old, and they said he's a mufti. And I said, why? He said he's the first one to finish a class in 6 years. I said, brother, in other Muslim countries, there's only one mufti in the country, and that's usually the 80-year-old who's been studying in the book for 65 years. This kid here is 21 years old. He hasn't been studying those books for 65 years. So sometimes, what we do is we put people on levels that they're not supposed to be. I'm just your brother in Islam, and my thing is I'm a muballigh and a mu'akhid. I go and I do the research, mubahith, and I just share the message. As Prophet said, Bani wa anni walau ayah ma shay akhar. My dear brothers and sisters, we need to humble ourselves and follow the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And when Allah, His Messenger, say something, don't listen to what the people are saying when they say, well, you don't have to do that. You don't have to pay zakat. You're not in the land of the non-Muslims. As one Shaykh gave a fatwa. Imagine that, ya akhwan. You're in the land of the non-Muslims, so you don't have to pay zakat. Be careful, my dear brothers and sisters, what you take, where you take it from, and go back and do your own due diligence and ask lots of questions. That's what Allah Ta'ala says. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلِ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge if you don't know. It's very important, ya akhwan. Nowadays, ya akhwan, every fulan wa alan, they have an opinion, and you have to be careful with that. With that, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad, kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala Ibrahim fil alamin innaka Majid. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to make us true practitioners of the book and the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and to be sincere to that, and to follow that, and to live it, to love it, and to learn it with that. Akim as-salat wa rahmatullah.